In the year 2054, the movie begins at the Pre-Crime Department, a police program that uses special humans called precognitives or precogs to prevent homicides. The three precogs are kept in a pool of photonic milk, where their visions are recorded via advanced technology. For the past 6 years, the Pre-Crime Department has analyzed these psychic impressions to figure out the location of the perpetrator and has always succeeded in apprehending them before the crime occurs. The perpetrators are then put in an electrically induced coma via a crown halo, preventing them from committing crimes in the future, after which they are taken to a panopticon-like prison. This has significantly reduced the incidence of premeditated murders, except for spontaneous crimes of passion, also called red ball killings, where the police have limited time to save the victims. The chief commanding officer, John Anderton, walks in, ready to take on the case of a double homicide notified on the red ball. He watches the visions that Agatha, the strongest precog of the three, recently saw, and uses his extraordinary skills to locate the intended victim's house. John and his team leave for the location on their copter, reaching just in time to stop Howard from killing his wife and her lover. Howard is arrested and taken to prison. In the next scene, we see John getting his quick fix, Neuroin, in a dark alley. As it happens, John's son Sean was kidnapped 6 years ago, and his wife Lara left him, which led to his addiction. Back at home, he keeps himself busy with Sean's and Lara's memories. Since the federal government is looking forward to implementing the Pre-Crime Department nationwide, they send over Agent Danny Whitwer from the Department of Justice to audit the program. Lamar Burgess, the director of the Pre-Crime Department, is not too keen on Agent Whitwer's presence, though. He cautions John to keep an eye on him, while the rest of the crew gives Whitwer the tour. Whitwer has some concerns, like how the precogs keep having echo visions of some murders even after the killer has been apprehended, or how the department can arrest people for a crime they have not committed yet. Though no one is allowed to access the precogs, Whitwer brings out a warrant which angers John. The caretaker of the precogs, Wallace, reluctantly briefs Whitwer on how the precogs work. The photon milk enhances their images, which are then scanned via optical tomography. John learns that Whitwer is around to discover any flaws in the system, especially human error. Suddenly, Agatha has a vision of a woman who drowns after being chased, and she grabs John. Wallace dashes to soothe her, whereas John visits the prison to investigate the woman from Agatha's vision. It turns out that she was an intended victim named Anne Lively, but the Pre-Crime Department helped prevent her murder. However, she has been missing ever since. John is intrigued that the database did not have Agatha's prevision in the file, so he copies it and goes to meet Director Burgess, who tells him he's got his back. In the next scene, the precogs predict a premeditated murder of a man named Leo Crow at the hands of John himself. He is shocked as he has never seen this man before. John makes a run for it, just after Whitwer confronts him for possession of Neuroin. Convinced that Whitwer framed him, John calls Director Burgess from his car, telling him how he is intended to kill an innocent man in less than 36 hours. Just then, the department overrides his car, so he has no choice but to escape. However, they track down his location due to the retinal scanners installed all over the city. After a cat-and-mouse chase, he outruns them. John and Whitwer engage in a brawl, but John eventually manages to get away. John goes to meet Dr. Iris Heinemann, the geneticist who designed the precogs. There, he learns that precogs were children of Neuroin addicts, born with brain defects but a psychic ability. John thinks that someone must have faked a prevision to frame him. Dr. Heinemann briefs him that though they are never wrong, sometimes the visions of all three precogs do not align, where one of the precogs sees a different vision than the others. This vision is called the Minority Report and is not logged into the system in order to maintain the reputation and infallibility of the department. However, the Minority Report must exist in Agatha's memories, the most gifted of the precogs. John is shaken by this news because it makes him question the morality of his actions in putting away people who might have had alternate futures if not for the precogs' visions. To avoid getting identified, John decides to get an eye transplant surgery from someone he knows, though he keeps his original eyes for access inside the department. While he is healing, the pre-crime team sends in spiders, which scan the residents of that building for identification. Luckily, his new eyes keep John from being caught. With a little help from his doctor, John disguises himself as an older man and returns to the pre-crime department. He enlists the help of Wallace and kidnaps Agatha, without whom the other precogs are not capable of predicting murders. Whitwer tries to stop John, but he escapes with Agatha down the pipe. After getting her new clothes to wear, John takes Agatha to a cybercriminal Rufus so he can help him access her memories. There, John realizes that he does not have a minority report, meaning it is meant to be this way. Just then, Agatha brings him back to Anne Lively's drowning vision. Rufus alerts John about the pre-crime team's arrival, so John and Agatha escape thanks to Agatha's foresight. They find Leo Crow in a hotel room where John notices photos of many children, including Sean. His rage gets the better of him, and he almost shoots Leo, but at the last moment he changes his mind. This is where Leo begs John to kill him, or the guy who hired him won't pay Leo's family. Someone hired Leo to act like he killed Sean, to frame John. When John refuses to, Leo himself pulls the trigger and falls out of the multi-story building. Whitwer finds the evidence quite suspicious, so he asks Director Burgess to meet him at John's residence. Since Whitwer has figured out that Anne Lively was indeed murdered, Burgess fatally shoots Whitwer with John's gun, leaving it behind as evidence. Meanwhile, John is arrested at Laura's place for the murders of both Leo and Whitwer, and Agatha is returned to the pre-crime department. In the next scene, Laura meets Burgess and talks about Anne Lively. Initially, Burgess says he cannot recall her, but later when he says that he will investigate her drowning, Laura realizes that Burgess was the one who set John up. While Burgess leaves for the ceremony for the national launch of pre-crime, Laura breaks John out of the prison, using his eyeball. John confronts Burgess, holding him responsible for the murder of Anne Lively, who was a heroin addict and Agatha's mother. Initially, she gave up custody of her little girl, but after breaking out of the habit, she wanted Agatha back. Since there would be no pre-crime without Agatha, Burgess hired a man to kill her, knowing that pre-crime would intervene. And then later, he killed her in a similar fashion, without raising any doubts since the vision was deemed an echo and deleted as per rules. Since John started looking into Anne's disappearance, Burgess schemed to hire Leo to take John down. Just then, a Red Ball murder is reported in the pre-crime, predicting John being shot dead by Burgess. Burgess is faced with the choice of killing John and letting people keep their belief in the pre-crime.
Or he can watch his life's work destroyed if John lives.
Burgess asks John for his forgiveness, after which he shoots himself. In the end, pre-crime is sealed shut, with the precogs released and moved to an undisclosed location where they could just be themselves, whereas Laura and John happily expect their second child.